You need to stop making these mistakes on your Samsung right now. Let's go. In my time as a Samsung user, perusing the earth, I notice a lot of people doing a lot of things on their phone, and they make a lot of mistakes. And I've already started to document some of them. Here's another 5 for you to wrap your heads around. First one that I see far too many people doing is they're installing cleaner apps or virus protection. Stop doing that immediately. These apps that you go into the Play Store to download are not necessarily safe or truthful. They will come back and show you things that's wrong with your phone and get you to subscribe to extra things for you to fix it. And it's just not necessary. Samsung has already got a version of this built in to their device care in the settings. You literally go in and it's called app protection. It's powered by McAfee, and there is features and settings in there to periodically scan your phone to ensure that the apps are safe and secure on your device. So stop installing those cleaner apps and just use the native solution that's baked into the phone, costs you nothing. Number 2, stop taking photos in the social media apps. Your Instagrams, your Snapchat, especially if you're complaining about their quality, just use the native camera app and then send it through there. I get it if it's just a quick photo that you're sending someone or a quick story that you're uploading, but if you're trying to take a really nice photo for a story, especially if you're taking a video for a story, don't use the internal camera apps for those apps. So this is an example of filming video with the Snapchat video recorder, and you'll see the difference to when we do Instagram, and then finally I'll finish with the native camera app. And then this is Instagram. And Instagram's a little bit different. Again, it's not as good as what the Snapchat one, I believe, is. It's still using a very similar pipeline, as I said. And then you're going to see the main camera one next. And this is the main camera one. You can obviously shoot at 4K 30 and probably get the better dynamic range. You've obviously got more camera options as well if you want to shoot in like log. So it's going to be a much better experience. But you let me know what your preference is. But I'm telling you, just use the main camera app and then upload it separately. It's better. A lot of them originally just used to take a screenshot of the camera app and then feed that into the social media app. So like Instagram, for example, if you launch the camera within Instagram, it's just a screenshot of the camera and then that feeds in to Instagram. Drastically reduces the quality and the output and all the dynamic range and just doesn't take a good enough photo or video especially. Things have improved. I will say Snapchat, for example, has actually used Samsung's camera pipeline to actually output a better photo, and it actually uses Samsung cameras as well. Instagram is there or thereabouts too, but that doesn't mean they're all like that. Honestly, the best thing to do is just take a photo with your phone's camera app, the Samsung camera app, and then go and upload it into the story. There's a couple other things you can turn on, like in Instagram, for example, there is upload high quality as opposed to just standard. So you might want to go in and activate that. You can see the difference though. If you take a photo with Instagram's camera or Facebook's or WhatsApp's, and then versus the Samsung native one, it's just better on the Samsung native one. So it might take an extra step, and on iPhone you might not have to do it, but if you just want better quality, just use Samsung's camera app. Don't use the social media ones. Another mistake I see a lot of people making is forgetting their passcodes. That is where today's sponsor, Dr.Fone by Wondershare, will help you out. Dr.Fone by Wondershare is a comprehensive phone support solution, and it offers you a stack of functionality. Among all of the features is the ability to help recover forgotten passwords to get you into your phone. Using Dr.Fone's Android screen unlock, you simply plug the phone into the computer, launch the service, and follow the on-screen guide to help you bypass that screen unlock. It's literally that easy. This isn't just if you've forgotten your password either. I have recently purchased some secondhand Galaxy Folds, and some of them have come with a PIN code that I wasn't provided, and obviously I can't just guess. Again, to help me, I turned to Dr.Fone to help me bypass those PIN codes and get into the phone that I purchased. Dr.Fone can also help you with factory reset unlocking. So if you've, again, got one of those phones and you've got factory reset protection on there because you purchased it secondhand, Dr.Fone has the tools and the software to allow you to bypass that and get into the phone that you've purchased. It also has software built in to allow it to act as a companion to your smartphone once you've got yourself up and running. So if you've ever forgotten your passcode or buy a secondhand phone like me and you just need to get into it, Dr.Fone by Wondershare is the solution to solve that problem. Get Dr.Fone by Wondershare in the link in the description And thank you to Wondershare for sponsoring this video. Number 3, this could be a controversial one, but honestly, just get rid of it already. Using the navigation buttons. These are legacy buttons that have been there in the software since Samsung ditched the physical home button from the Galaxy S7. They stuck around, these buttons. Samsung wanted the transition to be smooth from S7 to S8, but for some reason, they're still there. We're talking almost 8 years ago when the Galaxy S8 dropped the physical home button. They did add some pressure-sensitive button, which I thought was kind of cool, but the physical buttons on the screen have remained as an option. In fact, they're still the default when you launch the phone, but it's so much better to just use the gestures. They are faster because it's a swipe. There's not a press, swipe here, swipe there. It's just a better way of interacting. And at some point, those buttons are going. I don't know when, I don't know how long it'll be, but they will go eventually. Samsung already phased out some of the extra toggles and settings and had to bring it back via a good lock module. So you honestly are better off switching back to the gestures, because a lot of apps and a lot of future development will be built around those gestures. Better start getting used to it now. It's very easy to turn the navigation gestures on. It's just in the display settings under navigation, and then you can turn it on. And if you want to get rid of the gesture hint, you need Good Lock and Navstar, enable extra settings, then go back to navigation, and then the extra toggle to remove the gesture hint will be there. Whew. Number 4, stop not updating your apps and your phone. A lot of people, my wife, will constantly sit there and complain of their phone being slow or an app breaking or not working. My first point to raise, have you updated your apps? Oh, what? No? Well, there you go. Try that first. 99% of the time, it fixes the problem. The way to do this, there's 2 app stores, which I think can be a little bit confusing for some people, not knowing which app store to update what app, but just check both. Galaxy Store, just long press on the icon, go to My Apps, hit update. Done. Play Store, same thing, long press, My Apps, update. That way, they're always fresh, always updated, and you know that at least that's part's taken care of. And then also the software update side of things. Samsung, not so much this year, have been pretty good at updating monthly with security patches, and some of those patches have bug fixes as well. So just go and check your software update to make sure that's updated. Then you get a refreshed experience once the update has gone through. And number 5, another one I see far too much of, is using websites instead of the app. Oh, grinds me up. The app will always be more polished and optimized for usage. 2 examples I have here, ones that I've seen my wife also make quite a bit. Kohl's, like all grocery shopping, and Amazon. There are apps available for both of those shop fronts. Amazon, the app is pretty consistent to use, and it's just easier because you don't have to always sign in or you don't have to always go amazon.com. You just press the app. The other one is the supermarket app, where she does all the grocery ordering. Again, just use the Kohl's app. There are so many things built in there to actually support the click and collect that we do. Like it's got location tracking, where if I hit I'm on my way, it'll track me from wherever I am to the front of the grocery store, and they can bring it out without me ever having to press the phone again. With the website, it doesn't do that. So I just think the best solution is to make sure you're using the app itself. Again, as I said in the other ones, these are not meant to attack anyone. I'm not standing here and saying you're wrong for doing these. I mean, it might sound like that because I'm calling them mistakes, but ultimately my end goal is to just help people use their phone more efficiently and get the most out of their Samsung smartphone experience. So if you've got any helpful hints out of this, let me know in the comments below. Hit subscribe while you're down there. Feel free to join as a member if you want to get early access to some of these videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Yoo!